Bring him out, Bernie. Where the hell are you?
My good man, Pete. Hello and welcome everybody to Bernie Maskman Presents. I'm your host, Bernie Maskman. You're welcome. Such a good time. Of course, before I get started, of course, I always like to point out and get everybody's attention over to Production Corner, where we have Pete and
They saw me earlier.
and Avery. I set you up a chair so you can come over and sit with us. Avery! There you go. A chair for Avery! Sometimes she's confused at how knees work. It's okay. Oh boy, I tell you what, so much has happened since I last saw everybody. Of course, we did a show, we did 2 shows in May. We did our regular standard show, and then we did our big comedy festival show in May. It went, comedy festival, of course, the Birmingham Comedy Festival went very well, I'm told. While, of course, all of the big major headliners got free luncheons and after parties and after show get-togethers. I had that sweet Sunday midday slot in the back of the same place I always do a show at, just at a worse time. So maybe didn't feel as taken care of as maybe some of the other headliners were, but I'm not one to complain. That's not true. I am one to complain. But we did pull off a lovely festival. People had a really good time, and I was certainly happy to be a part of it. Hopefully, I can continue to be a part of it. But that, of course, brings me to the other thing that happened since last I did a program. Is well, due to some unforeseen circumstances, I sort of lost the back storage room of an Irish pub that I used to do a show out of. And one would think, you're like, well, yeah, but you're in a lovely theater. Don't get me wrong, being in the attic of an antique shop is a huge step up. Surprisingly, a huge step up. But of course, I am unable to continue to work in such a lovely space. The Bernie Maskman show, Bernie Maskman Presents, just can't quite sustain this level of bigness. I am not going to have the cash to be able to do that. I would have to pimp out Avery, and let's be honest, no one wants that. I mean, no one wants you pimped out. Not no one wants you. You're a lovely man, Avery, and I'm sure. But really, I think that the big thing is that the next phase of Bernie Maskman is to go to fully online. So I'll be recording them from a location that looks an awful lot like a tiny closet. Set up on a tiny futon with probably just one guest, and Avery and I squeezed into a tiny room. So I think I've got the budget to pull that off. So Pete, it's been fun. I would have you come in, but you play too big of an instrument. Literally, if you could maybe pull off like a tin whistle, we can have you. But we'll see. We'll work that out. Yeah. Something small. Just I need tiny ukulele, harmonica. Harmonica, we're on board. I kind of like you with suckering. That's nice. It looks like it keeps your yap trap shut. It's just good. It seems mean. Does that mean? Does that sound mean? No, it's all right. He's gone after this show anyway. So that was, I mean, a lot of things, like I said. So we no longer have the back of Buck Mulligan's. Buck Mulligan's, of course, is no longer going to be at its current location. The hope is, of course, that it moves on to another location. But what's the likelihood that he's going to have another free storage room for me to do a show on? So more than likely, we won't be able to do live Bernie Maskman Presents for a while, but my hope is to be able to continue the show and then present to you the fine folks that are willing to come out on a stormy night to watch a show. Come out and see a live show every once in a while, periodically spread throughout. And we'll probably do bigger shows, not just me standing around goofing around, but bigger shows, because there'll be events at that point. I say all this knowing full well, more than likely we're not doing nothing. And of course, and that's not because I don't care about you. I care about you, my audience. I do. In fact, I care so much that right now, currently, in this fair city of Birmingham, there's wrestling going on, and I'm not there. Down the road at one of our local breweries, I have heard word that there is a local wrestling organization going on, putting on matches on right now, and I'm not there. Now, believe me, I would be there. You know, sure, they didn't ask me. Bit of an oversight, I'm sure. Clerical, no doubt. They just slipped their mind to not ask me, Bernie Maskman, champion of champions. Champion of late night, certainly. Probably a match or two, somewhere along the line. I've probably beaten one of those guys. That's probably why they didn't ask me, let's be honest. Now, I'm not here to cut promos on guys that aren't here. Kind of I am, screw those guys. But I am here for you, the people, the fine folks that came out to see a show, and I want to put together a good show. Boy, do we have a delightful one for you tonight. We have some of the finest guests and a very special surprise guest at the very end of the show to close out the big night. But I think it's time to get our first guest out here. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to love this guy. You know, a lot of times I've gone to Avery and I said, Avery, get me the cream of the crop. Get me some guests on here that I can really get with. And Avery does not do that. He seldom gets anybody. But this time you pulled the bacon out of the fire, as it were, and got me a professor. Yes, we're going to bring up the intellectual levels of Bernie Maskman Presents to the very tip top with my good friend and now soon to be yours, Mr. Professor Winthrop Latimore. Oh, Professor Winthrop Latimore, ladies and gentlemen. I am very excited. Thank you for coming. This, of course, the inaugural theater version of Bernie Maskman Presents.
It is my pleasure to be here, Bernie. Thank you for having me. Thank you all for having me.
And I tell you, you know, nothing says let's bring the level of the show up than wingback chairs and a professor. I mean, come on.
No. This is comfy.
Yeah,
I'm not used to this.
You know, this is, I mean, you know, we are coconut and a redhead away from being Gilligan's Island on this thing. You know what I'm talking about? Would have looked better had I said Gilligan properly. So I got to say, you, and ladies and gentlemen that may not know this, you, of course, he is a professor of sociology at Collegiate University. Now, sociology is it's a broad scope study, a field of study. What brought you to that?
Sociology is a study of how people interact with other people in the world we live in. I like to watch people, not in a voyeuristic way, but if you have the time, I can join in. I see how people work, see how they communicate, see how they work together.
I should say it's kind of a people watching, but from a more professional level. I mean, I myself have gone to many a mall just to sit in a chair and watch people walk by, make up stories, if you will. They look at them, see what are they thinking, you know, that kind of thing. That's probably similar to what you do.
I know the only difference between a professor and a peeping Tom is a clipboard and a degree.
Should be a bumper sticker. So sociology, you're studying people and their interactions, and I know that's got to be a vastly interesting thing. I mean, even here in Birmingham, it's a pretty diverse group of people that live in the area. What sort of things do you see here that you may not see at other places in the world? Why Birmingham? Why Collegiate University?
Birmingham is a microcosm. It is a melting pot full of people doing all amazing things. Do you know in Birmingham alone we have 75 breweries? At least that's what it looks like when I drive down the street. People love the IPAs. I still don't know what IPA means, but people love it. They love it, Bernie. Brother Bernie, they love it.
They do. I myself, I'm an ESB man, but no one knows what that means. So
extrasensory perception.
We'll go with yours. Now, the people of Birmingham, though, an interesting lot, because I feel like, and this is, of course, armchair sociology. I certainly don't want to
Literally and figuratively, Bernie.
I like to do my best. The people of Birmingham, interesting lot. You know, they're from the South. That has a certain entomology to it, a beginning, an origin story for it. And then you've got a larger city that's kind of surrounded by more rural areas. How do you think that affects how people live, how people figure into their daily lives?
I think people in the South, we are in the South. Are we not? Are we not in the South, everybody?
Yeah.
All right, when you walk down the streets, it reeks of barbecue and latent racism. All right, but the racism is squashed down. You know what it's squashed down with? Barbecue sauce. Then another fight rings out. Do you like red sauce? Do you like white sauce? Now the fight continues. It's about color, but this time it's about flavor.
So could this, and forgive me if I'm overstepping my sociological bounds, but could this be an inroad to figuring out racial diversity by basically finding people that may be racially divergent, but flavorally convergent?
Exactly, Bernie, exactly. You get a couple of people together from different races, from different lands, you put them together with the right food. Banana pudding. Banana pudding will save us all. The right kind of banana pudding. The homemade kind. The homemade kind like my mom used to make back in Mississippi. Which we used to make banana pudding. She didn't put this like cookies and cream. We called it banana pudding. We were laughed out of town. No, she had to bake it, cook it, make it.
Yeah. I thought there was more than a sentence. Now this actually brings me to my point that I was thinking about this is because in the current state of the world, there's a lot of separation, a lot of things separate. But do you think that there's one thing, maybe outside of banana pudding, since we've obviously covered that ground thoroughly, is there anything that could unite us? That maybe, I mean, before entertainment united us so much of this because there was so little of it, 2, 3 network channels, people all in water cooler talk, that kind of thing. But now there's a lot to be stimuli of. What, do you think there's anything that can unite us?
We live in a very divisive time. Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, Auburn, Alabama. We live in a world where people are against each other. We need something to bring us together. Something pivotal, something amazing, something wonderful. Better than the Bible, better than religion, better than anything else sociology can do. You know what that is, Bernie? Scrabble. Scrabble, Bernie. We need to play Scrabble more. Get the Scrabble board out. Triple word score.
Okay, Scrabble. Now let's start there. Scrabble, very interesting board game. Of course, working off a centralized language, which of course opens up dialogue for everyone. And stop me at any point in time.
Oh, I will, Bernie. I will stop you at any point in time. Trust me, that is what I do. That is what I do, Bernie. That's what I do. That's what you do.
But it unifies us, and of course, this not to be like learn English sort of thing, but it is a unifying language to work on Scrabble. Although, if you think about it, could you open that Scrabble board up to foreign languages, allowing people to use words from other languages, further bringing people together? I'm just spitballing.
Bernie, that is an entrepreneurial exercise you need to do, my brother. You can make $1 million. I have this problem all the time. I try to spell foreign words. Somebody brings out a dictionary and calls the professor on it. I don't like it. Here's a word, Y-A. The Swedes use it. Yeah. Means yes, I got called out on it.
No, I think that's exactly my point. I think you take those off the board and say let's just go with whatever. As long as we can define it, it's a word, it's something to us, and it brings us together. I like this unification idea.
This unification is definition, it's Scrabble. You take it and put it in a room full of angry people and you'll make them happy. Put that dictionary off to the side, all right? Scrabble is the only thing that can do that. Monopoly? No. That's money. It breaks everybody apart. The game, sorry, there's remorse. You don't want to do that. All right? Candyland, too sticky. Diabetes, tooth decay. You don't want that.
I feel like I'm really on board with this idea. I mean, this is because normally, and I don't know that you've seen my program very often, but most of the time, the people that sit in the chair next to me, idiots, and I don't like it. But you brought ideas to the table. Granted, they're pretty ridiculous ideas. I mean, let's be honest. Scrabble and banana pudding, not going to fix anything. But the idea that it could fix something, and then monetizing that fix.
That's it, Bernie. Possibilities become realities.
I mean, I don't mean to say anything, but there's a camera up there, and it's filming the show. It is my show, so anything said on this is technically my property. So, what I'm kind of getting at is let's talk more about things that possibly could be monetized, because I've recently been kicked out of my performance space, and I'm looking for bigger and better places. I think the BJCC is looking for a Bernie Maskman Presents. I mean, I could easily fill up the hallway leading up to
Brother, you got to set yourselves high, BJCC. That is good to go. But you got upwards of 17 people in here. You got to start off slow, brother. Maybe the parking lot of the BJCC. Or maybe just a JCC, Jewish Community Center. Our Hebrew brothers and sisters will welcome you. Put a youngster on top of that mask, it's a mitzvah.
Well, I oftentimes I will walk right in there and say, shalom, let's do this. I don't know what that means, but here it's nice.
It's something good, Bernie. You didn't insult him, it's a good thing.
And that's really the key. I mean, that's really the key to anything, everybody. The unification, bringing people together, it's about not insulting people. Now, I could sit here and I could talk about this man and say that collegiate university sounds like a ridiculous, non-existent place. I could say that, but I never would, because that would be insulting. I could say that this gentleman walks in, he reeks of desperation, and his ideas of pudding and Scrabble are ridiculous, but that would be insulting. I could say those things. So, sociology. You know what? I've been on to ask you about collegiate university actually a little bit. What's the deal with it? Any sports over there? I know down here in the South, sports are very big.
Collegiate University has a wonderful sports program, all right? Alabama and Auburn, y'all got your football, right?
Certainly.
All right, we have a sport that is almost the same as football. It is more contentious, it is more violent, it is more brutal. Highlight.
Highlight.
Are you familiar with highlight, Bernie?
I've seen
Bernie,
it.
are you familiar with highlight?
And you know, from a very young age, I like to scribble down my ideas. And